This is the Business Growth Hacks Podcast, presented by Beefy Marketing. Here's your host, Andrew Brockenbush.
Another episode of the podcast. I have got a great guest in store for you guys. You're going to have to stick around. Make sure you hear all of the wisdom that I know he has to share. Today, we've got Kenny Gray on the show. He is the founder of Grayt Media, and his team is passionate about helping small businesses find their one-of-a-kind message. He is here today to provide some insights on how to create unique, creative strategies that produce effective results to help scale revenues, boost brand awareness, and enhance the user experience while getting the highest ROI, which we're all looking for, right? Kenny's ability to be able to utilize
absolutely.
Facebook and other social media channels has proven to scale e-commerce businesses and Shopify stores alike. Kenny, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. What is the most random TikTok worlds you've randomly found yourself in? So think food talk or dog talk. What are some of those random TikTok worlds that you found yourself in?
Man, that's funny, especially on TikTok when those things go viral. It's just like, why are all these girls doing this like drunk Johnny Depp run dance thing? But I watch every single one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome,
man. So since my algorithm has updated, since I've joined TikTok, I've gotten mixed with you get hit with a lot of random things.
Yes, absolutely.
I thought one that was really funny was, people doing any type of work or just an activity, listening to NBA YoungBoy.
Oh, yes.
So there's like NBA YoungBoy farmer, and whenever he's doing like any farm work, it's really aggressive and angry. Just the way it was all put together, I thought it was just outrageous and pretty funny.
Those are great, man. Those are so great. My girlfriend, it was me and my buddy John. We're talking about the Island Boys, and my girlfriend's like, "What are the Island Boys?" And we were like, "Come on, like they're like TikTok sensations. What do you mean?" And she's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And I was like, "It's like, what is on your TikTok? Like, what do you see?" And that's kind of the creative part about TikTok, or just like the cool part is like, to some extent, the algorithms catered it a little bit different to everyone, and so we showed her them. She looked them up and like obviously watched some of their videos, and then now her TikTok has started to like change into different types of content that she sees. It's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to send you down that path.
Yeah. She sounds like a better person than we are. For
yeah,
the fact
probably
that you even get hit with that content, it's like, all right, you're probably
questionable.
higher tier.
You're a questionable person. I think her TikTok is primarily dogs because she sends me so many puppy videos.
Oh, yeah. That's like my fiance.
Oh, yeah. What is her favorite?
She's on like a heavy kick on plants in the house. I think she counted internally. Just in our house alone, she has like 39 living plants.
Whoa.
And they're all thriving. They're all doing great.
Man, I am trying to have a green thumb, but it is not so green. Like, I'm trying so hard to grow my own. Like, so we did grow our own carrots, and they came out pretty good. They didn't grow as big as they were supposed to. We did grow our own carrots. Now we're working on watermelon, cucumbers, and zucchini, peppers, and tomatoes. So those are all like little seedlings right now. So I'm fingers crossed, But,
we have a raised bed in the back as well, and we do strawberries. We have like rosemary, oregano. We have an amazing habanero plant, but I don't even really like spices that much.
Isn't that hilarious how you're like, yeah, it grows so well, but I don't even eat it.
Yeah, it looks cool, I guess, and we give it to people. Apparently, they're very hot, but maybe we'll do it in like fajitas, but a very light portion of it. But the strawberries, like your own grown strawberries, they're fire. They taste great.
That was like one of the first things I ever grew back when I had an apartment. I made like a little, apartment patio garden, and I did strawberries and jalapenos, and it was actually kind of funny because I grew them right next to each other, and the strawberries actually got some of the heat.
Oh yeah,
from the jalapeno. I don't even know how it worked out like that, but it did. But they were so good. Let me ask you this as a part of our icebreaker: who are some of your favorite TikTokers, whether it's business related or not? What are some of your favorite TikTok accounts?
I'll have to shield the public from some channels, but
yeah, exactly.
I think that I get hit with this one guy who just it's honestly like a quick 30 seconds or 40 seconds of just like interesting things, and that's how he starts it every time. He's like, here's the interesting things of the day, and he's just picking things out of the world that it's just like you wouldn't normally see. Well, it might be in tech, it might be in a different country. But there's really like no drive behind it, right? It's just like, well, this is like a liberal thing, or this is what it's just like these are cool things that humans are doing somewhere in the world, or that is naturally happening. I forget his name right now. Of course, I have like, educational ones where it's like tips and tricks here and there.
Yeah.
I don't really get hit with as many dance videos, thankfully, anymore. So I got
Thankfully,
that
yeah.
out of that algorithm. I'm like, what is going on with these high schoolers? I'm like,
Right, like,
and why
what is
are they
this
all so
about?
good at dancing these days? I'm
Yeah,
like, this is not
exactly.
what we were doing.
It's like we had High School Musical out when we were kids, the movie, but like that wasn't really us living. And it's like the new kids living are like High School Musical in real life. It's
Oh, that's
weird.
actually a really funny reference. They kind of
Yeah,
are,
right.
right?
We were not that way. I think I'm a huge fan of like, I'm a big guy, beefy marketing. I mean, come on. I love
Love
food,
it.
and so I have a lot of great
Oh, yeah.
food accounts, like How to Barbecue Right. There's the guy, it's called I don't know if you've heard of him, but it's called the Stale Cracker. He's the one that's like, that's money, dude. It's like this Cajun guy who puts everything on a cracker, and his videos
Oh,
are
okay.
cool.
I'll have to check
It's
that
so
one
funny.
out. Yeah.
It's so
That's
funny how the
funny. I
algorithm is
just
just so
made ribs
different.
the other day based on a TikTok video, and they came out
Ah,
phenomenal. And I'll send a few videos to my fiance, and I'm just like, let's make this. It was just like
yeah.
marry me chicken, and then there were
Yes.
these fantastic ribs. First time ever trying to make spare ribs, and they came out phenomenal. It took like 5 or 6 hours, but worth the
But it was
wait.
worth it,
Like,
right?
oh yeah, we
That's
big
man,
barbecue fan.
I
So,
love TikTok for that reason. Like today's Cinco de Mayo, obviously, the day we're recording, and I've got plans to do like carne asada tonight. And there's this other
ah,
guy I follow on TikTok who makes all these like really fancy Mexican inspired margaritas, but they're like crazy, like chamoy and tahine and all these other like ingredients that you're like, whoa, that's crazy. Grapefruit soda. And I'm like sending every single link to my girlfriend, like, let's make this, let's
yeah,
make that, let's make this. Like
yeah,
I don't even drink that much, but it all looks so good. I'm totally down to do it. So well, fun fact
nice.
about Kenny, your first job out of college was actually a marketing intern on the Golf Channel. How was that?
That was interesting. I think that was a big eye opener. I think I had previous experience in marketing and advertising without even realizing it. One of my first roommates in Orlando was actually a club promoter. So it was one of those scenarios where, promoters, they buy the rights to the door, so they get all of the cover charge fees. They pay
Yep.
like a small percentage to the owner. So we were doing things like we were like the annoying people at like the UCF parking lot, slipping
Yeah.
like little postcards like, come to, this place tonight, it's buy two get one free, or
Yeah, absolutely. That's
contact
awesome.
such and such for bottle service, or sticking the stakes in the yard on like busy roads, stuff like that.
Exactly.
And I didn't really even realize it. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I guess this is kind of a different level of it, more local and more, guerrilla, I guess. But
Sure. Yeah.
the golf channel I thought was really interesting. Obviously, it's a branch of NBC Sports. It's a huge company, bigger than most even agencies if we're talking revenue wise, production wise. What I thought was really cool is, when you're that big, you see how every single task is broken down and their systems are really locked in.
Yeah.
And that's what makes NBC Sports how they operate the way they are. It might not be what we're looking for on smaller, mid-size like e-commerce advertising, but if you're
Sure.
playing with the big dogs, like they can check all those marks, those check marks off. But I just thought I learned so many things on like an enterprise level on how they were
That's awesome.
operating, what tasks were being divvied out, who focused on what. But there was also parts of that where I didn't like that, where how are you supposed to learn and grow when there's 12 people to do one task, but it's really dialed in, so you can't argue with that. But
Yeah,
I
for
was
sure.
like,
Yeah.
I really want to grow. I want to learn more. I want to learn how to build websites. I want to run the ads. I want to do the social media. I want to do
Yeah.
email. But they have 50 people dedicated to writing the copy, coming up with headlines, plugging
Sure.
everything in,
It's just
segmenting
not like that on
audiences.
a small business level, right? Like
Not at all, but it
most
was
people are
still
wearing
really
multiple hats. So
eye-opening, and it was one of those things where, because I'm in Orlando, it's like getting Disney or something on your resume. It raises some eyebrows, right? So
yeah,
the Golf
exactly.
Channel, yeah,
That's
I think
awesome.
it looked better than maybe even how much I even did there. They did trust me with a lot. I was one of the older interns, and I had some experience, so I got to run like their YouTube channel. I got to help with the SEO aspects. I did a lot of analytics and reporting. And then, my curiosity, I got to sit with a lot of people on a higher level, just kind of see how everything operated. So I think that was a great benefit. I really enjoyed my time there. It was just more, I wanted to grow, I wanted to grow faster. And that's not what you would do at a very large company.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Were you a golf fan already, or were you a golfer at all, or were you just
I
like it
get
was
asked
just a
that all
free
the time.
opportunity?
I'm not good at golf. I'm good enough to play and
Sure.
to par a few holes. Every once in a while, I'll get a birdie. I consider myself like a bogey player now, but
Yeah,
up
exactly.
until
Same.
like 10 or 12 years ago, I was when I lived in Jack's Beach, I worked at a country club at a golf course.
Oh,
I
that's
come
cool.
to Orlando, and after I worked at like a nightclub for a little bit, I got a job at Lake Nona Country Club, one of like the most prestigious golf courses and country clubs, in the world almost. I also worked at Iowa, and then I got the job at Golf Channel, and I'm like, I don't even get it. Like,
How did you
I
end up in
love
this? Yeah,
sports.
exactly. The space. That's crazy.
I
So
guess I just had the look. They're like, we want you in the clubhouse. So I was just like,
yeah,
okay, sure, I'll take it. It was fun. It was a
sure.
great experience. You see some crazy stuff. You meet, a lot of famous athletes. A mix of people in that culture. I've
Yeah,
definitely grown to love golf. It's just fun to go out there with friends. And once you get out there, you realize everybody sucks.
yeah,
So then you're
exactly.
less stressed about playing well. You're like, oh, we're all losing balls. All right, cool.
Sounds
Let's
good.
grab
Like,
some
let's have
beers.
another beer. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool, man. Yeah, I had never played golf before. Like, if you would have asked me a month ago, I'd have been like, I've never played around in golf in my life. But we were actually asked to play in a golf tournament because somebody had sponsored a team, but there was not enough players. And so myself, one of my guys, John, Kara, and another firefighter locally here that we're friends with, all went and did this golf tournament. And 3 out of 4 of us had never played before. And we're playing
Awesome.
a golf tournament, which is brilliant, right? And
Yeah.
so we finished dead last. Fortunately, it was like best ball and bogey's your friend. So it was like we had a great time. And I'll tell you this, like I totally got like the bug for it now. Like I'm not good at all, but it was like a good time. It felt nice to just like get out on on the course on a cart, have a beer or two, just unwind, relax. It's relatively low pressure if because you're not
Mhm.
competing necessarily with anyone except for yourself. So
Right.
that's I don't know, I like that a lot. So how would you say
Yeah.
you got your start in the digital marketing space? I mean, obviously your job, at the Golf Channel, I'm sure kind of started that, but even your experience with the promotions, I'm sure helped with that. So how did you really get started in the digital side?
So yeah, I think that all helped with it. But yeah, when we're talking about digital marketing and especially what I've been focusing on recently, so after the Golf Channel, like I said, looks good on paper, gets seen by more eyes, I guess. So I did get a small role with a smaller agency that was local, where I started media buying. I could pick up on it pretty fast. I had, great people teaching me, and then I also really knew analytics well from being at the Golf Channel and a little background from schooling. But going into media buying, I kind of caught on quickly. I got that opportunity to work on these accounts, and I think that's one of the biggest walls to break through. Right, is actually
Yeah,
getting onto an account, spending some money, saying you can speak on that subject matter, and yield those results for a client.
for sure.
So I had that great opportunity, but I started to excel pretty fast. So I was like, hey, I want to learn like email as well. Can we do email? So, got into there, came like Klaviyo certified. I did really well with that. Then I was like, I want to learn how to build funnels. And then I want to learn how to build stores. I want to learn how to, work all of these automation tools. So it's definitely a piece of my own curiosity and just kind of pulling that thread. And as we all know, everything's on the internet. So if you look in the right places, you can learn anything you want. And luckily, I had the opportunity to work with clients that allowed me to, pursue these goals, these tools, execute on them. Definitely have to lead with confidence on those when you haven't done it before. But
Yeah.
I just had all those opportunities. And then after the agency, I'm just one of those people where I get a little restless and I'm like, I think I can do this better myself. I don't really need a middleman here. So I went and freelance for a little bit, and that went better than I thought. And then I was like, okay, it's either I work every single day constantly, or I start building a team that makes more sense for longevity. So that's what I started to do. So we have like a small team, have contractors I work with. We're working on multiple agency deals where there's some white labeling going on, there's some referrals going on, just more and more opportunity, mixture of getting ourselves out there and then continuing our education because as you know, as your marketing agency owner, things are always changing. So just because
Yeah.
you were good at Facebook ads 3 years ago doesn't mean you're going to be good at like Facebook ads today by any
Yeah,
means.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
then there's the question, are Facebook ads even as relevant anymore since everybody's spending their time on TikTok for entertainment? how great is TikTok anyway? So
Sure, yeah. A lot
I
of
think
people
you
figure
have
out
to
what
stay
you
on
want.
top of it, right?
Yeah, I'm excited to get into that a little bit too. So, when you started Grayt Media, did you know e-commerce was going to be the focus? Like, did you know that kind of opening it up, or was it kind of
Yeah,
where it just
yeah. I
went?
had a lot of luck there, between luck and then just continuing my education there, and that was where my interest is. Obviously in the works when the right opportunity comes across. I'd love to be running my own brands and our own products, whatever it might be. But right now we're just having a ton of luck selling services or products for all of these smaller to mid-size, e-commerce brands, or even you're doing lead generation, but it just kind of felt natural for me. It makes sense. And then ultimately, I just want to deliver great work. So
Yeah,
I'm not going to go and put myself out there for something that's not really in my wheelhouse. Like, we're not going to be custom coding a large website with multiple features by any means, because that's a huge project. But
yeah,
running e-commerce stores, we kind of have a knack for that, and it's just really it's falling within our wheelhouse. We've seen a ton of success. We've had clients that have stuck with us for like 5 or 6 years. We've seen them grow from like 50K months to a million and a half months over the time that we've been working with them. So
yeah. That's
we also
awesome,
are
man.
sticking with what we know.
Yeah, y'all. I mean, y'all have some impressive results on y'all's website. Where I've seen that obviously you guys have increased revenue for brands, tremendously. What would you say has been like the driving force of some of that success?
I think ultimately, especially with our strategy, we keep things pretty simple, and we allow it we give it time, right? Because I think as more people become more savvy on the internet, they're poking more holes to your product, your offer, your website. Nobody wants to be scammed. Nobody wants a bad experience, and you're also in competition with a lot of people. So, we come up with a simple plan. We plan the work, and we work that plan. That's like a big thing I do with my team. And it's just like, don't pivot, don't panic. Like, let's stay consistent with this and yield those results,
Yeah,
and then pivot when we need to. But if you're trying to get too granular in there every day, that's just going to stress you out. You're not going to get any real results from that. And outside of that, product testing. Figure out what people actually want to buy, and then kind of keep reproducing, derivatives, variants of that, staying up with those trends. We've had a ton of success with like apparel, fitness industry, supplements, lead generation, a little bit of everything. But those certain verticals, like we can really just hit it
like you can.
100%
Yeah, you
almost
can
every
kill those.
time.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
awesome.
oh yeah, just even in one of our supplement clients in the last year, uh, in midst of all these tracking issues, not the best time, tons of competition.
Yeah,
So I think they were doing like 25K months. And, we came up with our strategy. We kind of focused on that low hanging fruit. We focused on products that were going to be more unique outside of what anyone could get at the store.
sure.
And over time, now they're having consistent 150K months. And this is
Wow.
just like the beginning of the year. So we're pretty confident we'll start hitting 200K months. And, it's really just compounding success over that, especially when you find something with recurring revenue, such as, supplements or,
Sure. Any type of consumable
health food.
products. Yeah.
Yeah, right. They buy it every month, especially if you can deliver. If it's a great product, deliver great customer service, a great user experience on their end, make it as easy as possible. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's great, man. I know you're, kind of going back to TikTok, I know you're really focused on targeting, TikTok ads to improve e-commerce store sales because I think that helps people kind of set themselves apart from the competition. And obviously TikTok is helping businesses thrive. It was the most downloaded app in the world last year, right? What kind of tips do you have for businesses to best utilize it? Like, would you say we still need to dance on camera to get sales, or what are the best ways that you can utilize TikTok for your business?
No, I think don't dance unless that's your thing, unless
Yeah.
it's relevant or if that's your personality. But I think it kind of alludes to what we discussed at the beginning with your icebreaker. There's so many different verticals, there's so many different channels and worlds. There's plant talk, there's food talk, barbecue talk, there's all these different channels that are in there, and it's actually all organic. And if I were a smaller business, that's where I would try. That's where I would focus first. I mean, we are running tons of paid ads on TikTok as well. it's a huge brand awareness lever. But we also have to remember that people are savvy to how these things work. Once we see that it's an advertisement, we're a little less reluctant, and we're a little more like, okay, well, this is a paid advertisement, so someone's trying to put it in front of my face versus like an organic post or an organic TikTok. So I see great success with those people who are just kind of staying consistent. They're letting their personality shine. I think we all kind of feel the same way. Like, we don't want to be on camera for the most part, and everybody is insecure about it. Everybody hates their voice. But I feel like even the big creators, they probably have felt that way, or maybe still do, but they're finding success just by repetition, staying at it, staying in their niche. So we're a big omni-channel marketing agency. So it's like, we need to get your brand out there. So yeah, we want to be on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Google, TikTok. Some people are talking about Rumble. So it's really about creating all those touch points, right? Like old school marketing. How many touch points, how many little yeses can you get from your potential users or hopefully customers down the road? So I definitely would focus on the organic approach. Pepper in, you can even start with lower budgets, definitely to test the waters to see if your demographic is going to convert on whatever platform it might be, especially TikTok. But what we're seeing is TikTok gets great click-through rates, very cheap CPMs, meaning you can reach your targeted audience at a very low cost. So, basically your dollar is going to go a lot further right now on TikTok versus Facebook or Google. There's a lot more competition there right now. But the biggest thing to keep in mind is make TikToks, don't make ads. So don't create a template in Canva and start running that and expect to see results. Unless you are, you might have an amazing product. And then I think when some companies hit a certain point, they can throw anything at the wall and it will just work because it's like, oh, that's such and such. Yeah, let's just go check them out. Like, Gymshark's probably at that point. They can do things that are more adsy, and people know the Gymshark name. They know what they're getting. They don't have to be as clever to capture your attention.
Exactly. They know exactly. You asked a question or posed a question earlier that I've got written down here that I wanted to ask you, which was, Facebook, users are kind of sliding every day in terms of like what apps are getting the biggest usage, and Facebook's going down like, seemingly more and more every day. To your point earlier, do you think Facebook ads are still relevant? What do you think the answer to that is?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Once you have your user journey down, once you have your, a converting website or a converting funnel, you got your products dialed in, there's still people on there. I think you have to look at what people are doing on each platform. Like TikTok, it's very entertainment. Like, I'm not really chatting with friends or, sharing things inside the TikTok platform. But I am kind of like an outsider looking in, just kind of browsing everything. That might be different for the Gen Z and younger ages. They might be interacting more inside the app, where it's like maybe a little more internally social. But I have multiple DMs and group chats within like Instagram where we share stuff. We talk about it, or I'm following brands on there specifically. Whereas like I go on a TikTok, I almost don't follow as many channels as I would like to, just because I want to get hit with random stuff. Just show me something that you think I might like, where it's just like almost like a random generator of content. And then, I think Facebook, a lot of us are using it to maybe keep in touch with older friends since we're a little bit older, friends and family. It's not so much as posting. And I think most of us unfollow people who post too much, or especially are posting their opinions too much. But the people are still going on these platforms, and then the audience networks that these platforms are on, whether it be like Google or Facebook. So they have their reach going into blogs and all these other placements that you might not consider. Whereas like most people are just concerned about the news feed, and that's where the bread and butter was. But for example, one of our fitness apparel brands, we've spent $30K this month only because we have sold so much in Q1 that the warehouse has been backed up for multiple weeks. So we had to pull down spend. So that's usually like a 60 to 100K a month client. And I think the floor for the return on ad spend, based off of Facebook reporting, which is highly inaccurate and we're missing tons of sales, is a 4.5 times return on ad spend, which is great even 5 years ago. So we can confidently say it's probably better than that. But that's pretty much the prime example. Like, no, they're not dead, but you could get great ads going. You can get a great click-through rate and CPM, but if they're not converting, then sometimes it's very difficult for people to look internally back on the offer or the website, that user journey experience, if you will. And that's really, to me, way more relevant than getting a really great click-through rate. Like, we can go viral, we can manipulate the numbers to get a ton of traffic, but when there's a disconnect or if there's something that somebody doesn't want, ultimately we're worried about conversions.
Yeah, that's something that I kind of noted here was that on your website, you say that what happens after potential customers click is super important. For those of our listeners out there who aren't as familiar, what does happen after click? What does that mean?
Right. So, big thing when you start to launch your campaign, ideally your media buyer or whoever's in charge of this campaign, or the client, you're going to go and review your ad. You're going to click through it, see what there's, make sure there's no typos or anything on the platform. But it goes hand in hand because let's say you have a ton of traffic going, people click over to your page and then they bounce right away, meaning like they saw it and then they left immediately. So you have a high bounce rate. Basically, Facebook, Google, they're all going to take this into account because their goal is to keep high quality content on their platforms and deliver high quality web pages. So what's that? That's telling the platforms that, hey, people don't like what they're showing them. They're not making any actions. They're not spending time on it. So that's kind of the first step really at that user journey or what happens after the click. So you might be sending them to your website's homepage, a product page, a sales funnel of sort. So that's why what you're pitching to them in your ad needs to be connected to what you're showing them on the next page. But the obvious answers are, sometimes people just go and look at the price and then they're like, that's too expensive, and then they leave.
Sure.
Then you might start A/B testing price if that's available for you for that product. Or maybe you're just not facing the right objections. Why, yeah, you're going to pay more for this product, but we're better than the other option that were even considering because of XYZ, which you could do through email, you could do through blog, you could do on TikToks, you could do on multiple channels. But yeah, I'm firm believer user experience, user journey is going to be huge, and having a well-functioning website is going to play a huge part of that.
Yeah.
What's the big metric? Like 3 seconds, I think, for your page
Yeah.
just to load, and also people watching one of your videos, which is on your ads, because as you're swiping, you have 3 seconds to get your message across and capture that attention. And
Yep.
once you get to that 3 seconds, consider that a small yes. So we're getting these little yeses. Then get them to the website. Hey, you're already interested in our pitch. We got you to the website. This is what it looks like. And that's when you might pop in a pop-up. Hey, here's 10% off your first offer. Are you interested? Pop in your
Yep.
email, pop in your phone number. We got another yes. So then we're kind of pulling them along like, you're interested. I'm giving you a better offer. Come on in. And eventually you just face the right objection to where hopefully they eventually convert.
Yeah. No, that's great, man. I think what I would insert here from from another marketing agency perspective is this is why it's so important to have like good analytic tools in place, right? One of my favorites, and I think I've talked about it on a past episode, but kind of to bring it back up, it's one of my favorites is a product called Hotjar. Hotjar gives you a lot of incredible data that you might not otherwise have, even with something like Google Analytics or any of the analytics even that you're going to get from the different advertisement websites, whether it's Facebook or TikTok or whoever. And so I think what I love about Hotjar is that you really get to kind of trace that user journey from where they clicked, where they moved their cursor, not just a heat map, but actually like a recorded session to say like, oh, look, they landed on this page and they all kind of like stalled out at this part of the website.
Oh,
Is our
yeah.
messaging wrong? Is our pricing wrong? And that makes it so much easier to then do effective A/B testing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hotjar is the one that'll also you can place the code on like your funnel. You can see how far they scroll down, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, especially if you're doing like something with funnels, that I feel like that's really important to see where are they dropping off, because a bounce rate just tells you that they're leaving, but Hotjar, like you're saying, is just going to tell you exactly where they're leaving. And it could be something as small as like the spacing in the text on the page where it's too difficult to read, or it just looks malicious, whereas like, I don't want anything to do with it's already too much. It's too
That's
much
right.
going on.
I've seen one of the things I've seen kind of a lot in that data is people clicking something that was not clickable, something that might have, from a
Yeah.
design perspective, user experience, it looked like it was something that should have been clickable and it wasn't. And people got frustrated and thought, well, if this doesn't go anywhere, and it might have not been something that was even intended to be clickable, but because the
Right.
user anticipated that it should have been, you lost them, right? So it might be as simple as a fix of either one, redesigning that element on the page to not appear to be a
Hmm.
clickable element, or two, link it somewhere, link it to the offer, link it to some additional copy, whatever makes sense. But being able to see that, it'd be like if someone walked into your business, your restaurant, your store, and they immediately saw one part of your store and you saw everybody leave immediately afterwards. It's like, in a real life scenario, you'd probably go look at the store and be like, oh God, like I didn't realize there was like a ton of cobwebs right here, or I didn't realize that there was water on the floor, whatever it may be. It's
Hmm.
like in a real life brick and mortar, we'd see those things and we'd make quick, actionable decisions. But so many businesses out there are just looking at Google Analytics and seeing, oh wow, our bounce rate's 90%. I wonder why. And then what
Yeah.
what I see people do all the time, and it's so frustrating, is like, oh, we need to redesign our site. We need to rewrite our copy. There's not enough content here. We need to add some pictures. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You have no idea that that's the problem. You're just guessing. Put the data in place so that you can find out exactly what it is, so that you only
Hmm.
have to make those micro changes. Because what if everything else on the page was absolutely perfect except for one clickable element? You just
Right.
wasted so much time, energy, and resources on such a small problem, right?
Right. No, I think that's a great point. And that's kind of goes back to what I was saying at first, like keep it simple as possible. If you start moving in too many directions, you don't know what's going to work and you don't know where to focus. So, you panicking and, stressing and coming up like, all right, we gotta redo the whole funnel. We gotta add this video. I'm gonna film it today. It's like, no, 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 just one, like could be just the top headline, improve the conversion rate or, scannability just with the top headline. What's the first call to action? Just like you're saying. So
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. Hotjar is great. I think we're seeing a good amount of success using Hyros, or I think people are also using like Triple Whale.
Yeah.
Adds another layer of data to show you the last click conversion. And I'm working with another agency, and they're coming up with an easily implemented server side tracking.
Nice.
So the big issue with Facebook is the tracking, right? But it's basically limiting Facebook from tracking. But if you know how the internet works, the data is still out there. Everything that's
That's right.
going through your internet channels can be scanned. It is still going through. Like AT&T can still see all of our browsing history within reason. Now, obviously, there's more laws
Sure.
and rules.
Yeah.
But basically, the best version of tracking would be owning the server because that's where everything is located. That's
Yep.
pretty much where all the information is. So they're coming up with, I think it's called like Sawtooth Arc. Basically, it's going to talk back and forth to the pixel. All data will go to the server where everything's hosted, then shoot it back to the pixel where it can do basically better matching.
That's awesome.
What-
That's
It looks
incredible.
really interesting. We're testing it out with quite a few clients, but it seems great. I mean, Hyros is good for what it is, but this one seems even better, which I think that's a big issue a lot of people are dealing with recently, at least.
Yeah, it's tracking. So I got a loaded question for you, a really loaded question, which
Oh
is
boy.
when a business, at any size is starting with paid advertising, whether it's Facebook or TikTok or Pinterest for that matter, what kind of budget should they have in mind? Is there a specific number? Is there a percentage of, revenue? Like, is there some math or formula that, like, if, for example, and we'll talk about this offline too, but I actually, one of my clients is a clothing line and we don't do paid ads. That's not something our agency offers. Like, obviously, like somebody like you would be a great partner for us. But like, I don't even know where to begin telling them where they should start with a budget. Like, if I were like, hey, y'all should do paid advertising, do I say start with $100, start with $500, start with $1,000? Like, is there a rule of thumb of creating a budget for paid ads?
Right. That is, I'm sure as an agency owner, you get like, how much should we spend? It's like,
Yeah,
how much do you want to gamble?
that's right.
But
Yeah,
so then you're going into testing, right? Like it's brand new, you're going into it, you're like, I need to get some answers, but I need to know when to cut it off. Generally, if you want like a formula that you can kind of go by, that would be a structure, 2 to 3x your goal CPA. So in general, what I see with most stores, if you get a 1.5 return on ad spend, you're pretty much break even if you account for ad spend and your COGS on your product. Because a one is pretty much I spent $25 to generate $25.
Yeah.
So then you start accounting for the COGS and spend your other expenses. Then you're kind of in the hole at that point. So
Exactly. Yeah,
1.5
you're in the
in
red. Yeah.
general, yeah, you're about there. Some people are like 1.3, 1.5. It depends on what you're selling. And then you want to take an account for what do you sell, like clothing. So you got like t-shirts for $25, and people usually buy more than one item. You get them to that $50 free shipping or $100 free shipping. A lot of things to take into account where what would a normal person trust to click that same day and purchase? A $25 t-shirt, they can risk $25 on that if they like it enough and just kind of test it out. Like, let's see what the quality is like. Let's see how fast it gets here and everything. But on the ad side, back to that, 2 to 3x your goal CPA as you're testing an ad. So if your goal is $25, once it gets to 75, review your results. If you get nothing out of that, all of that, then it's time to cut it off. Then you're trying to get a little bit more granular. The biggest thing we are seeing success with testing, at least especially on paid ads, is going to be testing by eliminating variables, kind of what you alluded to earlier. Like, don't change too many things, but test everything in a controlled environment. So obviously, creative's king. So figure out which creative you want to work with. So come up with some solid, basic headline, primary copy that gets the job done and is polished. Then you might be testing 10 creatives. So target that same audience, 10 different ad sets, or basically, so the budget goes to each one of those 10 creatives individually. You don't want to group them all together where one might siphon off all the budget, then you get mixed results. So we'll figure out that creative. Then you might end up with 2, 3, maybe just one clear winner. Then start testing 10 new headlines. Then you figure out which ones work from there. And then you can go to the primary copy, which is kind of like the hook and the angle, right? Because when you're scrolling, you really only see the top fold, and you're only going to click see more if you're more interested. So that's primary real estate right there. So creative, headline, primary, break everything out, give them their own budget, test variables in sections. If you have too many things going on, you're competing with yourself within your own campaign. You're going to drive up your own costs. You're going to have some competition. You're not going to get it. Basically, it's like a bad data set where it's just like, well, technically this looks good, but I didn't really, we relaunched everything with what we thought was winning, and now it's not doing well at all. So that's something we're heavily focusing on this year, because it's like, what can you control? You can't track everything accurately, but we can control the ads that are running. We can add some UTMs on there, get a little bit more data, use Hyros to scan it a little bit better. And then it's like, what metrics do you look at? So your engagement metrics are going to be accurate on the platform because it's all happening in the platform. So your click-through rates are going to be accurate. Your CPM, your CPC, basically the cost to get the traffic, because paid ads, it's a traffic game. You're just trying to get more people to your store, browse, hopefully convert, and you get your conversion rate, which leads to conversion rate. So with an apparel store, you want to be in that 3 to 5% range. But we were just talking to somebody, we're doing electronic bikes with them. That's a $2,000 price point. A 3 to 5% conversion rate would be crazy. So they're more below 1%, but that's more normal because a $2,000 purchase, that's something people are probably going to research a little bit. They're going to let me see what else is out there. Maybe I'll get hit with a discount. So that user journey is going to be longer. The CPA is going to be much more expensive. The conversion rate is going to be lower. Your AOV is astronomical. So, you get a $250 CPA, you got a 13x return on ad spend there.
Yeah. There's so much to it. I mean, I don't think most people know just how much work goes into creating a successful, advertising, campaign. And, from always testing to, dialing in creative and always be adapting creative, like there's a lot that goes into that. It's why our agency doesn't offer that as a service just yet. Like you
don't want to take that on.
No, like we don't have the bandwidth for it. Like, so speaking of that, like I think this is a good time to kind of move into a question that I think a lot of businesses probably have, which is everyone nowadays seems to be like a Facebook ads expert. Like you had these wave of ClickFunnels gurus who started teaching other people how to be Facebook ads people. It's like, take my $5,000 course. I'm gonna teach you how to make millions by selling Facebook ads. And it's like, okay, well now we don't know who to trust, right? I think you probably have experienced this issue as an agency owner, but what advice would you have for businesses listening to the podcast that are thinking about doing paid ads for their business and they don't know where to start? Like, what advice do you have for them? What should they be looking for? What should they be like, aware of and cautious of? Like, how will they know that they're working with someone, that's going to actually help them in an honest way?
Yeah, that's really difficult, especially on the internet. And you have a lot of these snake oil salesmen, con artists who they know enough to get your attention and can maybe pitch you on it, but they're good at they're wordsmiths, right? They can dance around and kind of
Yeah.
convince you. If they're willing to jump on a phone call with you, if they're willing to do like a screen share, it's one of those proof is in the pudding things. Like
Yeah.
show me some wins and show me some losses and, break it down for me and what you're seeing. Then you kind of know, like, are you actually like the person who's gone through all of this and you're staying up to date on everything?
Yeah.
Did you just do it, had some short-term success, which when I started, we did a lot of keto stuff and, keto was hot. You could sell anything. You could sell
Exactly.
keto PDFs.
Yeah. I
But
think another red flag
yeah.
for people out there, as an agency owner myself, would be if people can't show you the bad as well, then they're
Mhm.
probably not being fully honest, right? Like,
Yeah.
you and I can both admit that we have not hit every single campaign out of the park, and we've lost clients. Probably we've had churn. That's okay. It's a part of the business that we're in. Marketing agencies are abundant. It's a pretty
Yeah.
competitive landscape. But at the same time, I think that the people that are, in my opinion, the best people to work with are the people that have transparency around, like, hey, yeah, like, I'm not always going to kill it. Like, I'm not always going to win. I'm not
Oh
for
yeah.
everybody, right?
Yeah. Or I'm sure you guys are the same way. I have leeway with some clients, like especially right off the bat. It's like, I'm concerned about XYZ with your brand and your business, but I like talking to you. I want to work with you, but we could spend X amount and you might break even. You might even perform lower than that. So within reason, we'll take down payments, whatever, installments. But if we notice something within that first week or two, like we're going to bring attention to the client and just like, do you want to proceed? We can prorate this so it's not as big of a burden. So I notice when people are more willing to work with you and being transparent, kind of like you're saying, like, show me your losses,
Yeah,
then they're not out to get you and they're not just out there to get the money. They're genuinely trying to help you, which is what we are. Like, I don't want to work with somebody and just take your money. Like, I want it to work for you and I want it because it's only in my best interest if it works great for you and for me. So it doesn't
that's
make
right.
any sense. And then there's people out there where, no, you bought my course, there's no refunds, you got to eat that $2,000. But no, people, you reach out and, they're like, if you really don't find any value, like just reach out to me, explain your situation. We'll get you a refund or whatever it might be. We're going to work with you because, again, your success is our success. And not only there's reputation, but, some people just have morals and they just want to actually see other people do well. And
Yeah.
some people just want to create a sale.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that's another thing for me. If you go to an agency and they just say yes to every single thing you ask about every single thing that you want, then again, there might not be full transparency there. I can't count how many times I've told someone, "Hey, SEO is not a good fit for you. Paid advertising sounds like what you're looking for." Or somebody comes to me wanting to spend a lot on paid advertising, and me saying like, "Hey, I don't think paid advertising is the right fit for you. I think SEO is the longer play, and I think like
Right.
that's where you're going to be more competitive in the long run, right?" Like,
Right.
I would much rather have a customer see results and like reduce churn in the long run than just sell it to them with the, idea that like I'm going to get a quick paycheck. So it's like, it's not worth it because they're going to talk bad about me. They're going to leave a bad review. I'm not
Right.
going to get that referral. Like, it's just not worth it.
Right. I was actually just listening to your guys' show about, saying no more often, actually.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I can totally relate. Like, and what you're saying, like, you don't want somebody who's going to say yes to everything just because you're willing to pay. You want somebody to
Yeah.
like say, yeah, I can deliver on this 1,000% and I'm going to crush it. Not just like, all
Yeah.
right, let me scramble and just kind of figure this out. But,
Yeah.
and it just creates a better relationship with your clients or, whatever brand that you're working with as well. It's just, again, it needs to be a win-win situation or else everybody loses basically.
Yeah. 100%. When, when a business is creating a marketing budget, because like we talk a lot about planning on this podcast, creating plans, creating a marketing budget, creating a marketing goals, that kind of thing. When creating marketing budgets, what service or services do you feel like deserves the most attention when you're looking at the grand scheme of like an entire marketing budget?
For anybody, especially when they're starting out, or even if they've been running for a while and they found some success, which is the case, sometimes before, like you were saying just a second ago, we don't want to run ads for you until, the back end's dialed in, because it all works together.
Yeah.
So that's, again, like omni-channel, having your back end dialed in, the user journey dialed in. So I want to make sure the website functions properly. All the P's and Q's are there. We want to make sure you have email set up or some type of data collection where we're going to be able to not get their data, but like we're going to own that audience and we can speak directly to you, because email and SMS were a huge driving factor for us in Q4 when the ad space is very expensive, and then tracking issues really kicked in. So remarketing used to be, very easy. Now it's like, we can't talk directly to them because like 60% of users are opted out.
Yeah.
So before we even get into paid ads, we're going to make sure everything's dialed in on the back end, because if I get somebody to click and they join your email list and then the campaign goes out on Friday and then they purchase, 4 days later, it's in some cases it'll still get attributed to your ad, but it's like a big picture thing right there. And then, for budget, I mean, at least $3,000 a month. If you're smaller, you want to test the waters, dedicate $150 a day. Try and find small wins and gradually scale. Ideally, we're trying to spend like 5 to 10 if you're just starting out. And one thing we also want to make sure is like, are you okay if you get nothing out of this 5 or 10K? Because I'm helping you bring it to the market and test it with the best practices and the best way that we know how. But that doesn't mean it's going to convert, or
It's not
you
guaranteed.
have
Yeah.
something. Yeah, sometimes you just don't have something that somebody wants, or there's
Yeah.
a competitor who's undercutting your prices, maybe not intentionally, but that's just what they're able to
Which is
do,
what's
whatever
happening. Yeah.
methods. Yeah, so definitely big picture, especially before we start running paid traffic, or else I've seen it where people had paid ads running to like a dead page, and they're just like, I don't know why we're not getting any leads. It's like your Calendly link doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's a problem right here, buddy. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
goes to show how important analytics, user experience are. So, question for the TikTok naysayers. It's a new platform, right? It's just like any social platform. And it first comes out, everyone's like, ugh, TikTok, I'm never gonna do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
For the TikTok naysayers out there, what is your word of advice for those folks?
You go back to old school paid ads. Like, don't start going for conversions and purchases right away. Go for engagement. Well, firstly, obviously, focus on the organic approach. That should be a factor in it. That will only help as people kind of do their own research. But start going for engagement metrics or video views or just like a traffic campaign. Back in the day, you had to season your pixel before it was really optimizing and working in your favor. So, look for the little wins first. And I would view it more as like a brand awareness audience building tool. Because once you get them to click, again, they get in the website, you're collecting an email, you're getting them pixeled on Google and Facebook, whatever, any other channel that you might be using. So whatever channel you're going into, and TikTok in this case, you're going for awareness, and you're going for all these little yeses, you're going for engagement, basically getting your name out there. And like we said earlier, it is one of the cheapest traffic sources. It's one of the top apps right now. So it's a no-brainer. So start slow. It doesn't mean you got to spend $150 a day on TikTok. You could do, I think, like the minimum's like $50. But I think it's worth your time, and you can just start slowly. Like, again, don't stress yourself out. Like, start with one different TikTok ad every week. Just see how the performance does. Let's see what kind of comments you're getting, what type of engagement you're getting. It's okay to start slow and just test the waters, but you might be playing yourself if you don't get yourself on every one of these platforms, because everybody's using Google, everybody's using Facebook, Instagram, everybody's using TikTok. If your demographics there, we've seen success in Pinterest because that's another search engine. So people are typing in search queries and you can pop up for that as well. So I wouldn't rule it out. Don't overwhelm yourself either. But whatever platform, know what your objective is, and then also go with the right content. So in TikTok, you make TikToks. Facebook, you can get away with more corporate-y, clean-looking ads in some cases. Instagram, obviously, it's the influencer haven. So you got to find a nice mix there that speaks to people. We've seen memes do really well on there with the right brand. Yeah. But just know what you're going into, know what your goal is going into that. What kind of results do you want to get? Just because, back in the day, this like 5 years ago, even you could throw almost any ad up on Facebook and you're generating like a 2x return on ad spend if everything's polished enough.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't take as much. Yeah. So I like to wrap up every episode with a business growth hack. And honestly, I think our conversation today has come quite a few of them that are kind of throughout there that I think people will take away. But I think one last question that I have for you that I think might leave people with a growth hack in their own businesses would be, what are a few things business owners can do to see maybe an uptick in their online sales with a very limited marketing budget?
Yeah, we're gonna probably be a little redundant here, but I'm gonna say, get the back end dialed in. You hear it all the time. We want to run ads. We want to generate sales right away. It doesn't work like that. People are smarter. They know how the internet works. They know there's competition. They're doing research. Your demographics are just changing and how people understand how everything works. So having a dialed in automated email SMS system is going to be great. If people have questions, make sure you're answering on all of those channels. You're building little bits of loyalty and trust. And then once somebody, I forget how the saying goes, but nobody can, sell your product or service better than like word of mouth, like a referral basically. So if you build a great experience and deliver on that and, you speak to them, because we've seen plenty of drop shippers who just set up a shop, people are complaining in the comments or in the DMs on Instagram, and they never get a response, then that's just other people are gonna, oh, don't buy from them. They don't care about you. It's gonna take forever to get a refund. And then that's gonna kind of trickle down. But on the other side of it, we run ads sometimes that last, 6 months, 9 months, even longer, because the engagement on those ads are so good. It's like, oh, we love these products. We love these supplements. They work so well. And then as we're letting those ads optimize, it's like a self-perpetuating system where it's just like the comments and people tagging each other in it. That's actually what's generating the sales versus any of the dollars we're spending to get it out there. So yeah, that was a lot. That was a mouthful, but get the back end dialed in. Make sure you have your systems in place to address any issues because you are running a brand and a business now. And we need to respect that people are spending money on your product or your service. So you need to deliver on your end as well, or you're just going to sink.
Absolutely, man. Kenny, well said. I think there's so much here for our listeners to take away about user experience, about, systems. I think there's a lot to be said about having that stuff in place. It's like, that's like the thing that I hate the most when I ask a business owner, like, how much traffic do you get? What's your bounce rate? And they're like, I have no idea. And then I log into those websites for the very first time and Google Analytics has never been installed. And it's like,
oh yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, this is the most important thing ever. So like, if there's any takeaway here, make sure that some of the, even just those basic first lines of defense are put in place, and then start looking at your user experience, dial that stuff in. Kenny, man, I appreciate everything you've brought to the table today. Why don't you tell our listeners how they can support you, what you've got going on, and how we can follow you?
Yeah, if anybody wants to check me out, obviously we're on social media, all of them. And then if you want to book a call or anything, have a conversation, see what working together might look like, you can go to graytmedia.com, Grayt media. It is a pun on my name. I've realized some people are like, is it Grayt or Grat? Or yeah. But graytmedia.com, big red button. You can schedule a call. In some cases, there's even people, we just do a quick 30-minute consultation and it does wonders for them, which again, it's rewarding, not a big deal for me. And to see their success, it's also rewarding in its own way. I'm sure you guys do the same thing. So Absolutely. It's never an issue.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kenny.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Business Growth Hacks Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. To get more marketing tips and tricks, follow Beefy Marketing on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Beefy Marketing. And to take your business to the next level, check out our website at www.beefymarketing.com.